by looking at some of what happened this week, then go back on some tweet, and then definitely discuss on some like meme coins that pumped, what we do, what we did, what's the next steps, and everything. So yeah, will be, I think, an exciting one. So as always, guys, feel free to go follow Trenches It Back on Twitter. Thanks for all the guys commenting every post, liking every post. That's what we are looking for. It's the best way to support and to help like the guys cooking in the, for Trenches. Then I did a tweet on CreatorBid. I think we discussed about it a few times already. Agent is, I think, a very strong narrative, and it's fairly hard to get smart exposure to agents. Why? Because there is so many agents, and it's kind of like pump fund being created, and to get the proper ones, to invest in the proper one, it's not that easy. It requires a lot of time. And for the guys who don't have much time, I think it's interesting to get exposure to actually projects like agent launchpad and stuff, because if there is like some agent that works super well, they will benefit it. And so yeah, I think for CreatorBid we have a super strong like chart. Went down, now it's consolidating. Looks like we found the bottom. There is no much inflation on the token for the next coming like 6-7 months. So that's pretty bullish. They had a pump. It went back down. So I think there is like some interesting entry zone, and it's a way to get smart exposure to agent, which is super cool. Then I did a thread on ESA. Feel free to have a look at it. The main idea to keep here is that that's one of our theses, is like decentralized, is like AI in crypto could be bigger than crypto. And why? Just because that, to fight GAFAM, to fight like all the big like tech companies that are very centralized, that offers like, you don't have like any way to make sure you have all the hands on your data, all your hands on your model. It's pretty limited in the end, and so that's why you have some companies like NESA and like Zero G that try to help fight that, how to have the full control on like the data, or like all the AI stuff you do online. Then a very important reminder of why we are in Bitcoin, why fiat cash is trash, as he's saying, and like fiat currency, you have to be cautious. So it's in Argentina. I think you heard about it. The situation is pretty bad with the currency. People are seeking, like alternatives, like US dollars, of course, or like how to hedge themselves, and you just see, just to pay a bill at the restaurant, like how many banknotes you need. It's like mind blowing, and you see that on the bill, you see like everything is like 3-4 digits, so it's crazy, but this is what it is. We had KTG, pretty rough one. So basically I think we are in a stage for like all the tier 1 project listing. It's kind of like head or tails. We had Giza, that was a super good one, TG, and after TG some like disappointed, but they will still cook and everything, because they have some sell pressure that is hard for the market to be absorbed. Oh, still nothing on the live. Blah, blah, blah. So I think the live should be working now. Feel free to send a DM to confirm that it's working. Oh yeah, it's working. So I think Francis is having a hard time to connect. It's on live working. Join here. So yeah, feel free to confirm me that you hear me well and everything. Okay, working. Feel free to help your fellow friend Francis in the chat. And then the guys like just keep doing their things. There is buy pressure, and it's going up. Very interesting video also, like from the CEO of Zero G Labs. Perhaps some of you are investors. Basically explaining how important it is to have blockchain on AI and why AI needs blockchain. And it's a super interesting narrative for us. So it's CreatorBid is an agent launchpad, but also very linked to Tao. And I know many of you are like Tao fan, and so that's why I've said that bid is a beta to Tao. So basically, when you get some bid exposure, indirectly you have some Tao exposure with a bit different risk, or like different, I would say, way to see it. And we have the chart looking like that. Went down, and consolidating, and now I think it will overperform Tao. And that's always the same thing. Is like when you go on an asset, let's say you go on Mug, you have some ETH, you go to Mug. The main goal is like, how can you overperform ETH, using your Mug? That's really the goal. The goal is not to make dollars; it's really to overperform ETH, and then of course make more dollar, right? Very cool video from NESA, really explaining that to counter centralized AI. That's a very, very important topic, I think, for this year. and that's why they are doing. And then an extract from previous live. Silhouette, very interesting project. I'm an investor, and basically they got like some eye on them just because that it's a dark pool. So what is a dark pool? It's something from like Web2 from TradeFi, where basically is like how can you pass some orders being stealth, because when you are on chain and you do an order, everybody can see your wallet address, the transaction you are doing, and the order you are doing. And it's like a good reminder, with James Wynn. So of course, it's very hard to know what is the truth and what is false, But basically, he opened like multiple leverage trade on hyperliquid and got liquidated. And he said, "Oh, I'm being hunted by market makers or by whales," Um, and if you know my opinion, if you get liquidated on a 2% move, it's not really trading, it's more gambling, because the volatility of Bitcoin is bigger than your stop loss. So you need to really have like a sniper entry, but it's not really trading, it's more like gambling, for me. But basically, yeah, they got some eye from that, and it's a very cool project. Feel free to have a look. Really reminding you again the playbook here. So we are in the phase of like the market being a bit neutral, a bit weak. So there is no rush. And for a coin like Pepe, above the red line, we sell, below the green line, we buy. And in the middle, we are in the waiting room, waiting for something to happen. And once again, the green line and the red line are moving, They will not be the same in a few weeks and are constantly evolving. For some coins, they are fairly the same because it hasn't done much, but for some coin, it's moving. Another interesting one we had is a pump on shortcut, So that's the thing we explain in trenches is like you need to have the main meme coins that we have a strong conviction on. So of course, everything I'm saying is not a financial advice. It right, but then why not getting more exposure to some meme coin, smaller one? And why is that? Definitely because at some point it's always the same thing. You can enter an asset that basically, if you look at on chain, and that's the thing we are doing like with few guys in trenches, and we are really going in details. And I think very few people do it as precise as us, to be fully transparent. And congrats to all of them. And I hope they will still leveling up. That's why we look at the bubble maps, the on-chain transaction, who is holding and everything. We really try to go in depth. And in the end, you can buy back an asset that is basically just from like October last year that have been down 98%. It's like the thing just got obliterated. And at some point you buy, they have a pump. So here, I wouldn't say it's like a pump due to the market. It's more like what we call like dead cat bounce, squeeze, pump release. I don't know, like many stuff like that. But still, very interesting one. And we have been able to buy when the market was low, and this one was to pocket some profit. So some of you sold at different level. Me, I sold 700%. That's crazy. If you time that up, but let's say you purchase a bit higher. Yeah, still 200, 300%. And the goal is here to sell and to wait. It can go up again, not a big deal. We rotate to another one and or whatsoever. And by the way, another guy from Tunchi yesterday shared like, okay, we sold Shortcat. Should we rotate to Billy? I think most of you already had a Billy bag. That's why I didn't want it to push too much. But Billy is overperforming today. This one, I'm a bit more like not taking profit, But once again, it's not my financial advice. Not financial advice. I took profit on Shortcat. I was like, okay, I sell all my bag on chain and on centralized exchange. Khalas, done. For Billy, I'm a bit more like, okay, I let it run. But once again, it's just personal conviction of like, I feel it's a bit more undervalued, and I would rather keep it and let it run. But once again, very good, very good, very good, very good, very good. I was like, that's my quant, in the chat. When you have something pumping way more than usual, you want to understand why is it pumping, who is pumping it, who is selling, what is the next thing to pump? What is the next thing to pump? And you do that, and you catch those one, and that's why you could have like a good rotation. Me, I took my shortcut. I was like, okay, what are the other small meme coins I want to get in? And I don't want to get in randomly. Most of you guys that you get in randomly, you don't want to do that. You want to make sure like all the on-chain metrics make sense, the bubble map makes sense, the Twitter makes sense, all these kind of things. And trust me, that's the work we are doing inside, the trenches. And that's why when we talk, we don't talk to talk, we really give like some alpha for us, right? But of course, not a financial advice, because we really try to go in depth for everything. Agent, I'm like, what is the smartest agent exposure we can get? That's why we are talking about Create Orbit and Tios ones, AI, XBT, and everything. And that's why we also then we combine with technical analysis, with a lot of stuff, valuation and everything, to enter at the best prices. And we are waiting, and we don't mind waiting. So this one, it was a very important one, very important one. And once again, guys, thank you for all the guys who to retweet all my content. I see you comment everything. That's always good to see, and that makes me like post. Otherwise, me, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't post, to be honest. Then we had CreatorBit being featured on Kaito. So what is Kaito for those who don't know it or like don't know it much? The main feature of Kaito is like social kind of like farming, but a smarter way. It's like, how can you have mind share? And how does it work is like everybody is like trying to yap on Twitter, what we call. So basically they will post about CreatorBit, seeing what they have understand from CreatorBit, what they see. Could be trading, could be about the agent and everything. And they tweet about it. And because they have a lot of followers or because of that, they just grind in the Kaito leaderboard. And so you can be like, okay, I'm ranked there, and everything. I don't know if we can have a look. I think it's an interesting one. And that's, I think that's a good exercise. If you have Twitter, and I think a good way to try to get to grind Twitter kind of the way, or like keep some motivation to tweet, could be like to figure out the projects you like. Could be meme coins, could be agents, could be layer ones, and just tweet about it. And for example, me, I'm here. It's funny. I have some mind share on Kaito for CreatorBit because I tweet about it, right? And it's a way to be more consistent and everything, and they being featured on that. So it's cool because basically it's like they are paying to get some advertisement about their project, having smart people tweeting about it, their community interacting, people perhaps buying the token and everything. So that's cool. That's cool. And then small chart done by me. Of course, no FOMO, right? We're always waiting for the price to pull back to get back in. And then last tweet of the week. So we are live since 15 minutes. Feel free if you have any questions, by the way. And last tweet of the week is we start to feel it. Some rumors about a Solana ETF. So that's the thing we like to see, right? Pretty exciting one. And honestly, when you know it's coming, of course, nothing is like guaranteed and everything, but we know it's coming. This is where you want to build the plan, and you want to build the best plan. So me, I have a conviction that it will come. It will have a big impact on Memecoins and Solana. So you want to front run that and purchase before like it pump, So that's why it's very important to have it in mind, really make your portfolio the proper way, spend some time and everything. Yeah. So you have Yap. So then it was another interesting tweet. I think I will share it in the Trenches group about CreatorBit, sharing it because I think it's a good read, and they have a strong recap about difference between virtuals. So AXBT is from virtuals, right? Agent Launchpad, and CreatorBit is a competitor, and they explain the difference between market cap, the bit tensor stuff, and I think so. Very, very good one. So interesting. We had some OG coin moving this week, smaller FDV, right? But interesting one. My conviction on FWOG. It's giving us more time to accumulate FWOG, which I love, And it's a bit counterintuitive, but when you have a conviction and when you don't want to be stubborn then into it, right? Of course. And sometimes I'm wrong and I've been stubborn for a bit of time in a coin and I'm moving. But basically when you have a conviction and you have more time to accumulate, that's the best thing, to be honest, because more time to, make some profit, generate some money, buy back again the coin and grow your bag, and in the end, to make it big in crypto. And perhaps this is where, like, I'm very conservative in terms of my risk. I do all the disclaimers, but at some point to make it, you need to take a bit more risk on conviction you have, because if you think you're going to overperform, then, you want to trust yourself if you have put the work and then build a conviction and go a bit higher in terms of bigger in terms of size, what you usually do, and then see if it pay off. Then I had a funny tweet about Bybit just liquidated all the SPX 6900 shorts. An interesting one because we had a week until $3, and that's why short selling is not something. That's why I'm not posting about short selling. I do some, but I'm not posting because I know it's very, very advanced. You can really burn on short selling, and very few people talk about short selling the proper way, So that's why be careful if you short. Really, really be careful. Figure out a way to have your risk being managed, and don't put all your accounts as a collateral for the short, or the SPX can go to $100 and you're still not being liquidated, all this kind of stuff, to avoid those weak. And very strong price action from SPX. I think Murad playbook of like how would you say that of cult coin is really working. don't know if we have a chart here. So yeah, interesting one. Yeah, beautiful chart. You see it like beautiful. And I don't have any. I made some here, and then I don't know, like a lot of fun on Murad on the things and so on the timeline. So I was like, okay, better be cautious. But I don't care missing an opportunity. I would rather miss an opportunity instead of getting in a fake one. Then interesting post from Sweep and Jeremy. I've met them couple times. They are really degen but super smart, and I really like the way they tweeted it. And they don't do much alpha sharing. So that's interesting. Some guys they don't do it much, so when they do it, it has a bit more impact. And that's the thing that is important. And yeah, Billy used to be one of my favorite dog coins. If people wanted to bring it back, I'm in. Aped around 40K as risk, an interesting one. And you see that their posts, 10,000 views, 10,000 views. Same Sweep, so they are friends, close friend, 20,000 views. So those guys, when they tweet about it, they bring a lot of buy pressure. So perhaps that's explaining the pump of today. So perhaps Jeremy and Sweep pumped Billy without doing it. And once again, people can say yeah, but they buy to post. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's false. But once again, you have to make your own research. You're a big guy, and you should figure out it. But it's interesting. And so we had the Billy pump. Perhaps let's go back to Billy. Billy. Yeah, Billy. So yeah, Billy is one I'm not selling. Once again, could be wrong, and it could like round tip to like 0.003 and be down a lot. Be down like 60%. But I don't care. I want to keep my Billy. Small conviction play. I've kept a bag. I'm like, okay, let it run. And I don't think we will definitely break out and like go like, I don't know, 10x stuff because the market is not that strong. But it's a one I want to keep in my bag. Yeah. Um, so I think we discussed about many things, guys. So let me know if you had any question. I think I covered most of the things I wanted to discuss about. I will let you ask all your questions, and I will basically answer a few of the questions from the trenches group. But once again, reminder to support us. Follow Trenches is back on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. That is my account. Please do the thing of like interacting, commenting every post. It doesn't cost you much in terms of time, and it's really really motivating for it's some extra motivations, and it gives us the energy to be hyped during the live and try to share you all the alpha we have. But basically for BTC, a bit of a neutral zone, went down because of the war, it, right? Let's not talk about that. Neutral zone, I think BTC in the end dips are for buying. But once again, us, we don't want to rush into small dips because we are small investors, I would say. So we need like some very good opportunities to jump on BTC. If a bit underperforming when it was overperforming this week, a bit disappointing, losing $300, in few days, and lost up to $400, 20%. It's crazy. But interesting, consolidating here. It's interesting. Solana definitely super weak despite like the ETF news. So perhaps we'll have another opportunity to get into Solana at a cheap price. And that's why I'm not going too degen, and also, I think we can have a phase where Solana will overperform, and then we will have like Solana ecosystem coins moving and overperforming. So that's why I'm not really rushing into some coins, because I'm like, okay, I want to keep my Solana, let Solana run, and then I will go into those coins. Perhaps let's discuss about Popcat. So Popcat, perhaps we'll have another like entry point in terms of accumulation price that is below a quarter dollar, sorry. So $0.25. And I hope we get it because I really want to buy more Popcat, to be honest with you. For FWOG, we are entering slowly the buy zone. So for me, I have orders from 0.05 to 0.035. So I have some orders posted on chain and on centralized exchange. Then you do your thing, not a financial advice, but I have a conviction on this one that I want to accumulate. Pengu, we still far, so we have to wait. Mog, we still far, so we have to wait, but it's getting closer. And I really hope we get Mog below 300 million FDV, because I'm like, it's interesting. And we did like a small move, on Mog, so it was low conviction selling to buy back lower. We sold a bit here to buy back lower. these are like very small move, right? Of course, we not make money off that, but we make like very little money off that. But I don't know, it's still good for the brain and for like I don't know, feels good, I would say. Feel free if you have any other question. And for example, Geeko is one we are in due diligence, so we are doing research on this one. So it pumped, I think it will go down. So I'm not rushing, but we saw some red flags on chain, some red flags on some wallet. And so when we see that, it's definitely something where we pass until we have explanation. And that's why now I'm a bit pissed off because I've shared like a bunch of meme coins, and I say, can you guys help me have an intro and everything? Guys, when you have that, feel free to go comment on like all the Geeko posts of like go DM at that's my quant and everything, because the goal is like for us or me to DM them or like that we can connect. I try to enter the whale group or like have a chat with the team and everything. And I ask all the questions, like, oh, why do you have that on chain? Why do you have that? All the red flags we see, we ask to the team and we see based on on the answers, or like, do we ape in or not, and do we like have an alpha or not, But that's something is like, feel free to leverage, the fact that we are a community, that you have me to reach out to some project, interact with them, discuss, and see, be like, okay, what's the issue here? What's the issue here? Because you can get a bunch of data. I'm in few whales group for some meme coins. And honestly, like crazy the data you have, because guys who can enter, they need to have bags of like 25, 50, 100K dollars. And by being in, you get a lot of alpha, I would say. And then perhaps the latest one I have been asked on in the trenches group. So Billy, I'm not taking profit, but once again, it's my opinion. I took profit on chaque, for example. And I sniped a good price on chain. So that's funny. And for Sui, I think underperforming. They have a bit of FUD, especially these days. So waiting. Once again, we were waiting, but I definitely want to grab a bag. So yeah, I'm waiting. Let me know if I have missed another coin. So sorry, I can't answer to all the messages, right? But I try to. Feel free if you have any coin you want my opinion on. And for example, like this is like Foxbat is sharing an alpha kind of like in the trenches group. He received a bunch of DMs of like, have you invested in SC Shardcoin? Sharkat, sorry, Sharkat, not Sharkcoin, Sharkat. And be careful, check the contracts and everything before like the pump. He said. So that's very interesting. Perhaps some they have some cowls posting about it just to defend their bag. To pump the bag. I don't know. A bunch of guys doing some DMs on Telegram. No, that's kind of like the thing. You see that, you're like, oh, you share it in trenches. Perhaps two other guys have it, and then we're like, okay, it's going to pump. Perhaps we buy, because we feel there is some activity. We check some activity on chain. We're like, okay, some big wallet are buying. I think that could be interesting. So let me go through the chart. Max Taxi is saying insane that some meme coins are pumping. Why Sol is underperforming? It's not insane, because I think some meme coins are pumping just because they have been oversold for quite some time. I think if we take Billy USDT / Sol USDT, so that's why it's not a pump of like, yeah, Billy had more mind share and everything, and that's why it's pumping. But it's more like it has underperformed, and now it's, oh my god, you see, like these are like good charts. When you see that, the thing is like, you see here, but the thing is like, how can you hear? Because you do some research, you're like, okay, I have a conviction, on-chain metrics are growing, blah blah blah, I want to buy. And then let's say you purchase at an average. For example, me, Billy, honestly, to be honest, I think I'm already up 100% plus on my bag for sure. I'm so safe. I'm like, if it goes back here, I'm like, I don't care. But then the upside is like insane. So yeah. And also an interesting thing I shared is like, on some meme coins you saw. So let's go to Billy, for example. We can help the team, kind of like for free. So let's say to make it simple, we have a bunch of tools to help them, doing some arbitrage and other things. So that's also an edge, you can have. So feel free to, leverage that and get some intros to some like meme coin projects or other projects, that's the thing, is like, every time you see a project before buying, we want to do full due diligence of like chatting with them and all these kind of things to make sure that, we are like kind of like aligned on everything. Yeah, if that makes sense. Very good question from Obzi. So once again, perhaps I'm misspelling it. If delta is quite high already, so he's like quite in the market, doesn't have much stable coins, could be a good idea to rotate Tao to bid rather than buying with stables. 100%, that's definitely a good idea, because if you buy bid from Tao, it's like you think that a bid will overperform Tao, and that's really like what the trade you are doing. Instead of taking more stable coins, throwing in and like having like 3% exposure like on Tao, 1% on bid, and having 4% kind of like exposure on Tao, drawing your risk too much. And that's why like understanding what you do is very important. Okay, guys, feel free to ask any questions. Really feel free. Happy to help. So Jean-Baptiste saying, I'm surprised that BTC is holding up so well despite the further threatening with the Iran-Israel conflict. What do you think about? I mean, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. I think the Israel-Iran conflict is perhaps at the beginning, so that's not optimal, right? And yeah, it hasn't really impacted that much the markets yet. Perhaps it will a bit more. Though push down like SP 500, Nasdaq when they wanted to go up. I think without the war, they will have gone up and getting close to an all-time high and getting some match share here. But once again, I think it's very hard to for me to have like a very good like explanation of like why sometimes smaller conflicts had a bigger impact on BTC. I don't know. How do you figure out if a project is undervalued? So that's funny. I had like a live this week, and I think you were here, Gabin, and like you asked a question close to that one. So perhaps I haven't made myself very clear. So, and I think perhaps based on that, we should like open few coin market cap, taking few examples. What other coin? Let me think. Another coin well ranked that is more growth than value. Okay, I think Bitcoin is an interesting one. So we have a sample of 3 different coins. BTC, that is could be labeled as a meme coin for some guys, or like a Ponzi scheme, or the future and like ultrasound money. Creator bid, an agent launchpad, and a meme coin. That could be like a meme coin or like an agent. So Bitcoin, what is the how do you determine is it overvalued or undervalued? Because trust me, a bunch of like super smart investors around the world like have some ways to know if Bitcoin is overvalued or undervalued, and we have some internally that we use, that we track. Not really, because more like for thought of mine, and I have some models. For example, you have one here. It's a model that looks at the long-term holders, how much Bitcoin they have accumulated in the last 30 days. And you have a bunch of ones. Could be like based on the cost of like producing one Bitcoin, many things. And so that's the thing, is like many times I hear that Bitcoin is like a currency that doesn't have any value and everything, or like it's a Ponzi scheme and stuff. Bitcoin has a lot of value. First, from like all the miners, the hash rate is the first pillar. The second pillar is like the network, how it's being used. Second pillar is like all the guys building on Bitcoin, stacks, layer twos, Lightning Network, all these kind of things. Then it's like the quality of the holders of Bitcoin, or like the investors of Bitcoin, is a way to define the value, and so many things, and then you have like you could look at, is it overvalued or not, based on more like technical stuff and everything. So you have so many ways to define if an asset is undervalued or overvalued. For example, for Creator Bid, I think they're on a stage where the valuation will mainly come from the mind share. I think they are a bit undervalued here, just my opinion, based on like the value they have, what they are building, compared to virtuals. And of course, when people compare like Creator Bid to virtuals, I'm not saying that Creator Bid is cheap because it's 20 times cheaper than virtuals. And so people then think like, oh, okay, so then, or like even more. And then like, so, okay, Creator Bid should be at the same valuation of virtuals. Not always. Like, I mean that when you look at how virtuals is being valued, perhaps Creator Bid should be a bit higher. If we look at a bunch of metrics like revenue, users, number of agents, valuation of agents, and everything. Um, and so for every project, every case is different on like how you should figure out if a project is valued or undervalued, overvalued or undervalued. And this is where, if you are very good, you can figure out some outliers of, oh, this project is undervalued, and that's why, for example, I grabbed the bag of Billy because I was like, at 2 billion, it's a no-brainer, and that's why like I aped some. And for Billy, it's about the mind share, the followers on Twitters, how the community is growing, the quality of on-chain data. Is it like cabal of like they have like a bunch of wallets, smart people accumulating, all these kind of things over and over. It's tiresome. I have nearly 3% of FWOG. Is it too much? So once again, it depends your risk appetite. I don't think it's too much. I think if you have a conviction based on like what we shared and stuff, and like you're comfortable with it, I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's that much. For example, like on strong conviction, sometimes I have a big exposure of my portfolio on them because in the end, that's how you make it. And on some conviction I'm sharing here, I have a decent bag, right? I have a decent bag. And that's why we have a lot of firepower, with French's group now. And that's why, it's starting with Memecoin, but we can do it with agent, utility coin later on. It's like leveraging the community, my Twitter and everything to get intros to project, chat with them, and being able to ask them all the questions of like where you have that on chain and everything. And for example, for one Memecoin, I have entered the whale group. It didn't cost much to get in, right? So it's not a cost because I'm just buying the token. I'm able to ask many questions. Oh, I saw that. For me, it's a red flag. I will not buy more if you don't clarify that point, And we chat, and at some point, we get the thing. And that's why when you see like a meme coin you like, or like any project, you share it in trenches, you ping me, I check it. I'm like, okay, it's interesting. Perhaps we want to buy. And then we figured out a strategy to read them, like to like basically go blast one every tweet they do and like comment, oh, DM us, or like reach come in tweet on Telegram, or like DM that's my quant, blah blah, to get like a call with them and do more research, because I want to like where we put our money be like make sure like it's okay. Saja saying AI16D, what is the best entry? So they had a bit of FUD recently, mainly for on-chain stuff, which is interesting. And so for AI16Z, I have a bag. I think we explained it, organic bottom and stuff. I have sold like very little, even like not even, I think 20% of my bag. Should have sold more, right? Looking back. And so I'm like not rebuying. I'm like, I have some exposure. I want to get other different like agent launchpad exposure. But I keeping my bag, if that makes sense. Trenching saying, thank you for this live. Pleasure. Perhaps at some point I will stop doing it, guys. If you give me like a very good alpha and I make a lot, perhaps I will stop doing the live. And you will have like I will update, I will share the live after, I will upload it on YouTube and everything. Feel free if you have any question. I think we covered like so many stuff. I think it was like a very interesting one. And once again, I think being patient is paying off. Doing a lot of due diligence is paying off. And yeah. And for example, I think, I had a question about AIXBT this week. I really like AIXBT. You see it like on Twitter. The quality is like insane. I drew this graph like 2 weeks ago. So I drew it before like it was the price did that. So it was fairly accurate. And my thesis is like, I think it's not overvalued, but it could be a bit more undervalued. And I'm like waiting to build the bag lower, and I hope we have like an entry zone like below 0.14 to start posting some bids and like buying some, because it's a coin I really like. And it's like some smart agent exposure. Well, not a financial advice always, but I know it's my opinion. Some smart agent exposure. And yeah, feel free if you have any more question, guys. Otherwise, I will go. Feel free to ask any question in the chat. Yeah, feel free. I think I have also like answered most of the question in trenches. Perhaps I missed some. So no take profit on Billy for Robin. And yeah, I think the perhaps the highlight of the live is like follow trenches back on Twitter, follow me, comment like all our tweets. That's so good to see. And then I think we are getting close to like being like a community. We need to identify some project and being like, okay, we reach out to them. I don't want to share my screen because I have some personal data in my DMs and everything, but I have done that for a project, you know. I think some of you tag them or like Killian other things. I DM them, and now we start to chat, you know, of like, oh, I saw that. Can you explain me that? Explain me that. Explain me that. Blah blah. And I told them, you know, at some point, if everything goes well, I have a conviction, I will grow my bag, you know. And you can easily like get big holders on some coins, you know. For example, let's take the example on Billy, you know. Billy. So Billy, this is the screener, right? For those who don't go much here, we recommend to go more in the screener. So you have a bunch of stuff, you know, on top traders, holders, liquidity providers. The bubble map, you know, you can ping. We have one guy in trenches that is like sharing all the bubble map and stuff. So he has like a bit more advanced bubble map, you know, than this one, more up to date and everything. I like that. That's bullish, bullish, bullish. You know, so up. And this is like the thing you can see, put like a picture like on trenches of being like bullish. That's an alpha, you know, you share. That's good data, you know. Um, then we go on holders. We put 40, sorry. And we look. So there is like 11% of the coins in the pool, 10% on Gate, 3% on Mexi, 2% on BitGate, 1.5% on Mexi, CoinX or Wallet, 1.2%. God.sol, that's a good one. Solo XBT.sol, that's a funny one. So, okay, let's look what God.sol and, okay, God.sol. Oh, sorry, Solo XBT. Oh, Swissborg. Let's go, guys. Let's go. I have some, oh, you know, Swissborg, I don't know if it's true, right? But if it's only 26,000, I think I know who has most of the Billy Swissborg IUM. So that's pretty funny. But you see, like, so of course it's a lot of money, right? And don't go like it's a very small meme coin. Don't go more than 1% of your portfolio and everything. But for guys who have like a big portfolio, like having like 20K in Billy is not that much money for them, and they are top 100 holders, you know. So you know you can enter, you can chat with the whales and everything, so you can have like a lot of data, you know, because you are pretty big. So okay, this was like God.sol. So yeah, you had some Sigma, Fartcoin, Retardio, pretty good wallet, you know. So the guy has like some Billy, but he's not like overexposed. Oh, he has some Gecko, and you know you can see other coins, you know, and be like, okay, I don't know this one. That's interesting. I don't know this one, you know. And it has 42 tokens, you know. 42 is very important. Law of attraction. You know, I need to DIO more the wallet. You know, I don't know Glorp. Perhaps it's a good one. You know, I need to look at it. Then we look at Solo XBT. You know, it has like 100K of like drawing of buy power, you know. Like 90K, so it's something. Okay, it has like 800K of aura. So I'm like, when has he acquired this Billy? Perhaps it's like the aura cabal that is trying to pump Billy, you know. And you're like, okay, I don't want to sell because those guys like seems like they were like pretty good. So when has he purchased his Billy? So the thing is like the explorer on like on Twitter is like on Solscan is very very hard to read, guys, because there is all these like fucking like scam stuff like that makes me crazy. Um, you know, so 12 hours ago is not much, but I think we can perhaps identify his wallet. So it's FTG holders, FTG. I don't remember how much he had. Okay. Anyway, you have the idea. And then we have Swissborg. So I think Swissborg has multiple to wallet because they can't only have that on their wallet, you know. So they have some Jito, USDC, USDT, Vrapson, Xborg, Swissborg token, of course. No, they have some grass. Okay, it's interesting. Some Solana ID, some Nozana. Very interesting. Some Nozana. Some Billy. Some Borgi. Mishi. Okay, it's interesting. It's interesting. Sorry guys, I think I did like a small Small parenthesis on some on-chain due diligence. But yeah. Sorry, let's get back to the live. What do you think of Lofi? Very good question. I don't know it well enough. I will need to do some research. So I'm putting in trenches group for others. When do you think the pump will come? That's a good question. I think that the summer will be slow, as every summer, perhaps will be neutral. Yeah, and FWOG, but yeah, I can filter the on Dex right now. But I think Q4 will be a good time because I think we have some macro events coming up that should align with that. But once again, that's why I'm in no rush, because I'm like, okay, I want to really grow my bag, do my research, all these kind of things to make sure I have the best exposure, and also I'm well positioned and very ready, for the pump. Because it's the same thing, what do retail do? It's at some point they quit crypto because it's getting boring, and then it pump, they get back in and they buy at high prices, and then they're like, oh, I lost money. Yeah, but perhaps you are not at the good time, in the market. And that's why I would rather have you being really doing all the research when the market is like that, and when the market is pumping, really more not talking to much people, looking at Twitter, passively, being in trenches, gently, and securing some profit slowly, and waiting then, So thanks a lot, guys, for your time. Really appreciate it. It's already 40 minutes, and I have a video call in 13 minutes. So I have to go, have to work. The grind never stop. Saturday, Sunday, the grind never stop. Cheers. And I think it's me this time. I have to cut it. But take care, guys. Feel free if you have any question in Trenches group. Feel free to bring more friends. Help us grow the community. Interact on Twitter. Figure out some cool coins, and then getting some intros to chat, to ask for us to ask all the questions, to the project. Like that, we know where we put our money and everything. Cheers, guys.